Yo, this is the Streetwise Podcast. We're here to help you level up your game, level up your leadership, and level up your life. I'm your host, Matthew McReynolds. I'm a multi-brand franchisee, and I'm a franchise consultant where I help people find, launch, and build their ideal business. My main goal is to help you get off of zero and become the person that your dreams need you to be. Buckle up, get your popcorn ready. Let's go. All right, folks, I hope you're ready for this one. This was a special episode for me. We're about to get a masterclass in what it means to build your local network, how to build your business around getting referrals from people in your community, other business owners in your community, how to create synergy partners with those individuals. But not only that, build relationships with people and become a person that people know, like, and trust. So they want to give business to you. Our guest today is Savannah Dunn. She's a local realtor, and she's just a special person to me. She's one of those people that met me when I first started, believed in me, became a mentor and a friend, and has just guided me and challenged me through all these years. This was so much fun to get to talk to her in this way, and I know you are going to learn something. If you've ever struggled with putting yourself out there, stepping out of your comfort zone, launching that group, getting into that room, this is the episode for you. Savannah Dunn is an amazing person, and you are going to get so much value, again, because I did, in having this conversation and getting to facilitate it. Buckle up, get your popcorn ready. Let's hit it already. Come on. See you on the other side.
Yo, this is Streetwise. I'm your host, Matthew McReynolds, and today we have a special guest. She will always be my president, Savannah Dunn. Savannah, how are you?
I'm fabulous. How are you, Matthew?
I'm doing good. Thanks for coming on and taking the time to do this. I know you're busy. I really appreciate it.
I'm just excited to be here. When I heard you were doing this, I'm like, please, can I come? I want to come. I want to come hang out. I've always
Yeah.
adored you, so I'm excited to be
Oh
here.
man. Yeah, it's crazy. So let's kind of start there. Let's start where we met was back in
Rockwall.
early 2017 in
Yes.
Rockwall at a networking group. I was a year into Mosquito Joe, having no idea what I was doing, and you were a photographer.
I was. You had a baby coming too.
I had a baby on the way,
Yes.
and that little baby is now just finished his first week of kindergarten.
Oh, yay. Yeah, so
Man,
that was a long time ago. I think a lot has changed between the two of us. But here we
yeah,
still
yeah.
are.
Here we still are. We're still killing it.
Yes.
So yeah, take us back to 2017, photographer Savannah, and walk us through how you got started as a solopreneur, kind of navigating the networking space in Rockwall, but across DFW. Maybe give us some background on how you got started doing that, and then we'll use that to propel us into where you are now.
Sure. So we were kind of new to the area. Originally, we had been in the Rockwall area back in 2013, 2012, but I was a new mama at the time. And we had our second child. We moved away and came back. And we just gotten back. I think my kids were about 2 and 3 at the time in 2017. Yes. And I was looking to get back into working. I had been military, Air Force with my husband. That's where we met. I had worked at a law office. That was a lot of fun, but I didn't want to start over. That was in Oklahoma. And so I didn't want to do all the licensing and everything again. And, you get on the internet and people are like, if you can take really great pictures, you should be a photographer. And I like taking pictures. I did actually film back in school. So I had to learn digital. That was fun. And just kind of went from there. And, you kind of start out with chamber and local city things. And somebody said, you know what, you should come to this networking group in the morning, which was hilarious because most people I knew only networked at night. And that's when I got into that room and met all those awesome people that I saw at night at the happy hours, but they were actually doing business in the room. And it just grew from there. And then I learned more things about business. I never came from a business background. My whole family was always, worked for someone else, cash in, cash out, maybe get a vacation, the grind, the overall grind. And I learned a few things and realized I don't have any margins in this business. I had priced myself so low to get business,
Wow.
no profit. So at the time I was doing headshot photography and real estate photography. And that's when someone was like, why don't you sell the house and not the pictures to the house? And
Wow. Okay.
immediately I was like, no way, no way. Have you met those realtors? They're crazy. They're all crazy. Every realtor I've ever met is crazy, except maybe two. And they're like, well, you could be one of the two. So I got into KW in Allen because it was one of the top offices in the area. Right now, it's still number one in Collin County. And I've learned from so many amazing realtors. And now, fast forward, I'm finishing year 6 right now.
Oh, okay. That's really cool. Wow, 6
Mm-hmm.
years and you're holding it down. And I'm sure you have a lot to do with your office holding down that number one spot.
This has been my first year I got to be in leadership in the office, which is like a huge privilege because you have to prove that you're a top performer to even get the invite to leadership. So I have been in the top 20% last 2-3 years now, and which is tough because we have some big hitters to be in the top 20%. So I'm part of the agent led council committee. They change it all the time. I'm gonna say it wrong. It's called the ALC. So
Nice. Let's
yes.
go.
So lots of fun.
Let's
And then
go.
I have a team now. I grew a team last year for leverage because as you learn, you're like, okay, what's the next step? What do I do next? And I feel like you've done a lot of that too. Like, how do you leverage
100%.
yourself? How do you meet more people? How do you grow? How do you
Yeah,
provide opportunity for
100%.
others?
So, okay, so let's dig into kind of that initial transition because that's a huge part of kind of what this show is about. Taking your resources, taking where you started. You don't have to be, in this other great and perfect space to make forward momentum. Start where you're at, use what you have, and then elevate from there. So, you had done some film work in the past. You were
Mm-hmm.
coming out of being just mom mode, and not that the mom mode stopped, but it was out of a mindset of, okay, how do I build something for myself?
Mm-hmm.
What was that initial transition like when you started that?
Painful.
Yeah. Break that down
Painful.
for us a little bit.
Exhausting. I mean, I would take photos all day long and then I'd go home and upload them and do editing. And then the morning I would deliver the photos at 5 a.m. right before the kids would wake up. And then I would get the kids ready to take them to daycare, Montessori, wherever we were taking them at the time. And then I'd jump back on the road and go back and take more pictures. And I just repeat. And I would get sick. I remember being like always having a cold, I was just run down.
Wow.
It
Yeah.
was exhausting. And then I went to some business classes and they're like, okay, how do you expand? How do you leverage it? I'm like, there's nothing on the bone to leverage. I have nothing. I'd have to run swarms of people to be successful at it. And guess what? At the same time, this little company came around called, oh gosh, what are they called now? I'm going to forget what they're called. They do all real estate photography and people use them all the time. And I'm like,
Okay.
and they're cheap. So I was like, well, that's silly. I'm not going to compete with them when they have a whole system light years ahead of me. And yeah, it was exhausting. It wasn't fun anymore. I fell out of love with photography, so it wasn't any more of a passion of mine. And I think once you hit that point, it's really hard to keep grinding when there's nothing to grind. Like there was just nothing.
Yeah, that's a delicate balance because you don't necessarily have to your hustle doesn't have to be your passion, but it can't consistently poke holes in your cup because then you just have nothing. Who
Yeah.
are the people that spoke into you that helped you initially make that transition into, instead of selling the pictures, selling the house?
My husband had always been whispering in my ear because we were moving. We moved every 9 to 11 months over a 5-6 year
Mm,
period. So we kept moving. And eventually I got to the point where I knew what the questions were going to be asked. I knew what documents they needed. We're veterans. We had a VA loan. Like I just knew I'd have to educate the real estate agent what a VA loan was, all the things. So I'd get it all ready and put together. And then we'd go find the house and buy it that same weekend, usually because we had 30 days to get into a new house. And my husband would be like, why don't you just do this? You already do half the job. Why don't you do it? And I just never wanted that. I didn't know enough. It was scary, right? You fear the thing that you don't know. And the closer and closer I got to it, um, Susan Hubeck was one of them. She's the one that I sat down and had lunch with. I respected the heck out of her. She was a businesswoman. I knew she had real estate ties. And she was really one of the first people that was like, why don't you just try this? And when I pushed back, she came right back at me and gave me,
Nice.
instead of just taking my excuse, she's like, well, what about this? And she was the first person that really kind of stopped me in my tracks and made me actually think about it versus just object. Because I think a lot of times we deflect things we're afraid of. And it made me sit and think. And I remember coming home, we had lunch on a Tuesday, I'm pretty sure. And I came home and told my husband, I think I want to be a realtor. He goes, if I would have known you just had to have lunch with some lady, you would have said yes. I would have sent you off 7 years ago. I've been trying to tell you this. I said, I know. But we never always listen to the closest people to us. We think they're
Right.
biased or they see something we can't see. So when
Right.
a stranger you respect says something, you're like, oh, which is always fun in marriage when you're like, some random person told me I read this in a book.
Man, I resonate with that a lot.
Yes.
And it's just, even though they see those blind spots, they're just a little too close. And it's really
Right.
special when you can have somebody that's outside of your space speak into you and encourage you. And
Yes.
sometimes that's what it takes. What did you have to do? So another thing I love to talk about is the initial pivot, right? So the launch phase is usually where we use up the most energy. And so you would probably gain some momentum. And so I'm meeting you in the process of you being the photographer. And
Mm-hmm.
I joined the group and you were the success coach in that group. And
Yes.
so you were already doing a lot of, you had the networking thing down at this point,
I met a
right? So,
lot of people.
okay. I want to dive into the networking, but before we do, I still want to dig into the when you pivoted and then you had to start really launching and grinding the different career path. What were things that you had to do that might have been unknown unknowns, things that you didn't expect? Because obviously you're already afraid, but what were things
Yes.
that you really had to overcome through that process once you started?
Time. Because you think I was a full-time mama with littles under 3. So,
Yeah.
when they need you, they need you. So that's that. So I had to figure out how to work in between when they were sleeping. I still had to be a wife. I wanted to still stay married. I mean, we've been married since 2007. So it wasn't a new marriage, but you still have to
Nice.
work towards it.
Yeah.
And then just figuring out how it all fits. And finally it got to a breaking point. And I realized, should I keep grinding at this photography because it kind of makes ends meet, which I was really grateful. My husband had a great job, so we didn't have to have my money to survive, but my money was going to be the fun money. So his income covered, ends,
Paid all
but
the
then
bills,
anything
held it
I brought
down,
in, yeah, I
was
was
extra. Yeah.
vacations, retirement, investments,
Which is
the
super
wealth side.
important. Yeah, super
Yes.
important.
But it was
Okay.
like, should I focus all my energy on something that I know what the returns are, or do I change it into this? And someone gave me permission and said, we know you're new here, but bring in a client. We will help you through it. Don't worry about how, just bring them. And I swear that next weekend I had a client and they walked me through everything. And when I started looking at the numbers, I was like, this is equal to one great month of photography, 30 days. I just bought
Wow.
myself 30 days. And that's assuming everything panned out in photography, no one rescheduled or weather, any of that stuff. Best month, ideal month. And so then I got another client and they were equal to 2 months worth of photography. So I
There
had
we go.
90 days. And I said, all right. And in 90 days, if I don't get another client, which the sales cycle in real estate is 90 days from what you do today, 90 days, it will show up. If nothing
Oh,
else
okay.
happens, then I know I'm not meant for this. And it was just helpful. Had a lot of great training, a lot of support at the office. And from there, I mean, I was second place rookie of the year that year, and I was only off by like $40 whole. I still to this day, but that reminds me, it's like, don't ever take advantage of or that you think you have it when you don't have it. Because I thought I had it in the bag. I thought I was rookie of the year, and I missed it because I kind of let up.
Oh,
So that's my
wow.
lesson from that is don't let up. You don't
Yeah.
know.
Man. Oh, that's so good. What tools and resources were available at the time? So with Keller Williams, I mean, did they have a lot of systems in place that
Yeah,
assisted
they
in
were
your training?
number one training company
Got it.
across any industry. So
Okay.
that's why I picked them, because of that. If I'm going to pick something, I want to know systems. I love good systems. And so it was everything from having a database. The networking was a system. Like, I networked intentionally. I met people, and I knew, based on the way the networking model was, is nobody just wants to be sold. Don't sell the people. Just create the relationship. Create the relationship, and the rest will come. And so that was kind of what I did. I intentionally met so many people a week. I intentionally attended so many meetings in a month. I intentionally sent referrals too. Like, you can't expect to receive a referral until you can send a referral. And realtors can feed entire groups, because our clients come across so many things they need during that process. So that was kind of the system, was what are my goals, and what do I need to hit, and how do I get there?
Okay. Okay. No, that's good. What when you
7
started,
levels of communication, probably my favorite resource ever. Jason will talk about that too, because I told him about that book, and now he tells everybody about that book. That's
seven
a
levels of
great,
resources. Okay, break
no,
that down for us.
communication, 7
Of
levels of
communication.
communication. It's a
7
book.
levels of communication.
I
Okay.
probably have it behind me. Yes, I do. It's behind me.
Okay.
Um, it's a great book about referral networking and relationship networking. And one of the biggest tidbits they had was find a home base. Pick a home base where you meet people at. And I had picked a coffee shop in downtown McKinney that I met people at, and everyone came. I knew every server. I knew the owner. I knew who would be on what shift. Right now I've
Wow.
changed that to local yokels. Now I know all my servers, because you have a home court, and you can control your time, and you can connect other people. So whoever you met before is meeting the person you meet next. They meet each other, and then you stay on time, and you're an influencer. And you also get to support a local business. So you can do that in a coffee shop, you can do that in a restaurant, you can do it anywhere.
Okay, that's good. No, and I'm glad you said that, because I hesitated, because I was thinking about kind of where to take this conversation next. But the networking piece, specifically with you, is really where I want to dive in.
Sure.
So that's a great resource. I'm going to highlight that, put that in the show notes. Say the name one more time. It was
7 levels of communication.
7 levels of communication. Okay. In your experience, as you've grown in your respective communities and in the respective rooms, where do you see a lot of people get it wrong when it comes to networking and building relationships?
There's many ways. One just happened to me recently, and I was so deflated afterwards.
Mm,
Someone had come in a specific industry, wanted to work with me specifically because I was a realtor. I said I already had somebody I've built a relationship with, but I'd like to introduce them to that relationship, because I think they could take it and go even farther than what I could do. And all they heard was I had somebody, and they shut down and left me.
wow. Okay.
And I was shocked. I was just absolutely shocked that they were not open to meeting more people, because you just never know who actually stays in their industry. I think that, what's the average? 2 years right now people stay before they move on to something else. You don't have that 30-year longevity that we used to have. Everybody's jumping around, switching jobs, doing different things. So how do you know if you're going to stay or they're going to stay? That's one of the biggest missed things in real estate, is when a realtor gets out of the business, they have a book of business that someone has to take care of. So if you're not creating relationships with other realtors where they trust you and say, you know what, I'm stepping out, I'm retiring, or I got to go back to a job, can you take care of my clients in the future? That's a huge missed opportunity. And the same thing with networking. I think so many people walk in, they want to sell directly to the one person in the room, and if they can't make that sale, they're done. And I think that's the number one mistake people make.
Oh, that's big. Yeah, I've seen in my experience, when I started, I was usually the youngest in the room, and I'm not anymore, which is crazy, but I kind of
Weird.
like it. It's weird. Yeah. People would see me and maybe see my naivety and would maybe sell to me. And as soon as they realized that I wasn't a sale, or I wasn't buying what they were selling, they would immediately look over me to somebody else in the room. And those were the people that, now that I've been around and in the game for a while, they typically don't stick.
Nope.
Those aren't the ones that stay in the groups for a long
That's not the
time.
culture. The culture are
Yeah,
the ones that come ready to give. They're ready to mastermind. They're ready to grow others.
there it
And
is.
then the byproduct is the business. And the business is so much better. Like I remember the first couple of years of real estate, I would get clients that were just, oh, you just didn't want to work with them because they were not the same culture.
Mm.
They wanted a bulldog agent. I'm like, I'm not a bull. I'm a win-win agent. If we can't get everybody to win-win, nobody's happy
Yeah.
and someone's getting sued. And I used to work for attorneys. I don't want anybody to get sued. It's miserable. So I have a huge win-win attitude. Same thing with networking. As you start one, you kind of get the ones that are first attracted to it are the ones that are looking for the quick sales, grab all the business cards, head out the door, throw you on a spam campaign and hope something sticks versus who's in the room, who do they know, and how do I get through them? And a lot of
Mm.
people will come in and go, well, there's a lot of younger businesses in this room, right? Or they're not as established or not this. Well, guess what? They're usually married or partnered with somebody who is your client, but you didn't
Oh,
get a
that's a
chance to
good,
meet them.
yeah, that's a good perspective. Yo, 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 thanks for listening this far. It's at this point in the episode that I want to talk about Streetwise franchising, teaching, training, building, Streetwise franchising. As a franchise consultant, it's my job, it's my absolute pleasure to be able to help aspiring entrepreneurs find, launch, and build their ideal business. If you've always wanted to start your own business, but you don't know where to start, if you want to leave that corporate job, but you're a little afraid to take the risk, I'm here to help. I've been a franchise owner for almost a decade. I've learned what it means to build a team, to run a business, to struggle. And I know, based on my experience, how to help others find the right ideal business for them. Streetwise franchising. Stay humble, stay hungry, stay streetwise. Let's get back to the episode.
Yes.
Okay, so for me, I've
Mm-hmm.
maybe taken this concept a little bit too far. And I've got my reasons, but being in a transitionary phase with how I was going to represent myself, I mean, there were times that, in the room, I'm not selling anything, and I don't even want people to, like, I don't want to be tied down to a specific thing. I just want to be in the room, and I just want to build relationships over time. Is there a balance though, if you don't have, if you're not specific enough, if is there an issue with not being an expert or not being solidly one thing, and specifically when you're networking in the rooms that we've interfaced and we've been in together?
It's a mix because you can be
Okay.
so solid that you polarize yourself and half the room doesn't want to deal with you and half the room does, or you generalize yourself so much that they don't even remember you. And so you have to
Mm,
strike the balance of the two. And you have to understand you're not going to get everybody, but at the same time, you don't want to be so abrasive or hardcore that only the other abrasive hardcore people hang out with you, because usually y'all are trying to do the same thing, right?
sure.
um so it's a fine line of something that's memorable enough that they are, or intriguing enough where they're like, you know what, I need to learn more. The other way, which I have done a lot of this, I feel like, is having others speak on your behalf. That third party proof. Like this
Yeah,
generation wants authenticity and they want social proof. So you can say anything you want about yourself, but until someone else gives a recommendation or a referral or a compliment about you, you're not really going to trigger. And the only way you can get someone to do that is you've poured into them first.
that's good. Yeah, and that kind of helped me through that phase, was that I had enough built up social capital that people knew what I was about. And so even though I didn't really have or know what I wanted my identity to be in the room, I was still able to float for a time. Um, no, that's good. That's good. I think people prioritize the ROI, the financial ROI, more than they do the social capital that you can get from being in rooms like that. And there's definitely a balance there. And so I think figuring what that is probably different for most people. Would you say?
I do. And I think what they think they're starting with and what they end with are always different. So you've got to really kind of go with the flow and see what works. What may work in one room could be different in another room. The way I
Mm,
interact if I go to a chamber event versus a closed networking event, those are two different personas almost. You have two different target audiences. So who are you going to connect? If I'm going to a chamber, I know there's probably 7 other realtors in that room. I've got a lot of competition. I'm going to find one good connector and build a really great relationship with them and forget the rest of the room, because I know that connector will then bypass everybody else for me. Versus a closed business, I want to get to as many people as quickly as I can and provide them value and show how I can help them with their business so that they reciprocate, because I'm not competing against other realtors, but I know they have other realtors in their life.
yeah, no, that's good. So not all rooms are created equal.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So let's talk about this. So you launched your own group. What was that process like? Because that could be, it's scary
Exhausting and
for,
painful.
it's scary for most people to just get in the room, but you actually launched a group that turned out to be very successful. So what was
Yes.
that process like? Exhausting, stressful, all the things.
It
What
was
made
fun
you
too.
successful? It was
It,
fun. What
it
made it
was
work?
fun. Finding the people. People are everything. So I remember finding my like initial team, like who are the people that I know, like, and trust that I want to still do business with, that I need in the room with me. Because if someone came in their place, I wouldn't want to substitute them for someone else, right?
Mm,
So I had an insurance agent I really liked. I had a financial advisor I really liked. I thought I had a mortgage person that I really liked. It didn't quite end up being a fit. Now I have Luke. He came later, but I had a good core group, and then I had a vision, and the vision I had was to be the best. I didn't know what it looked like, but I am competitive in nature. I've always said I wasn't competitive, but now I've realized I'm competitive.
yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
not
no doubt.
competitive like a high D is competitive. They're very, I'm just kind of like, I'm a high I with the D. So,
Hey, me too.
yeah, it's more fun that way.
I get it.
So
Yeah.
having the vision, and then just, I mean, I hit the phones. I literally called people and said, I'm starting this networking group. I don't know when or how or why, but are you in with me? And I had some people that said, I've seen what you've done. I know who you know. I want to be there. And then I had other people say, I don't have the bandwidth for it. I wish I did, but call this guy instead. This person is looking for a person. And so it was just kind of growing organically like that. And then you create the culture. The culture has evolved. It evolved over years. We had some bad apples come through. The way I see it, they always see themselves out. They don't see themselves and anybody else in the room. They get uncomfortable and they end up leaving. They may not leave in the nicest way possible, but they leave. They do. And they're just not part, they're one of those people that you're just not going to jive with. So, and then showing up every single week. I mean, I was there every week. The only time I ever missed, I think, was for vacations, because you got to take those. You got to take your vacation. But if I can
You
plan my
gotta.
vacation to end and begin outside of the networking day, I did. And my husband would get so mad. He'd be like, "Why can't we leave earlier? Let's get on the road." So
What value did you see to your business by being the leader in the room versus just sitting in the room?
it's exposure, right? Being a leader gives you more exposure. It gives you that influence. It gives you that opportunity to know more people. That's why I wanted to be, originally when I started calling the people and gathering them, I didn't want to be the leader because it made me nauseous, like absolutely sick to my stomach. I did not want to do it. But then as we started building the roster of people, I realized I was the one connection everyone had. And if anyone was going to keep everyone together, I was going to need to be in front of the room. That doesn't say I didn't have a great support team behind me. I always had a huge team of people that would fill the gaps. But I always wanted to lead by example and have integrity. I always wanted to have integrity with the room. So if I couldn't stand in front of the room and be truthful and authentic with everybody, how could I expect someone else to do it?
Okay, that's good. Do you think you had any specific, I mean, in integrity, being intentional with people, did you have anything specifically to yourself or your leadership style that set you apart from anybody else. I mean, I know you're super intentional with, I mean, and I knew you before I knew you, and you invited me to your group, but the way that my first meeting, I mean, you knew everybody's name, even to the guests, and there was a lot of people in that room. So intentionality would be my answer to this question, but just from a leadership style, and maybe not just networking, but just in business in general, what have you got that's kind of giving you some extra juice, would you say?
That's a loaded question. I feel like it adjusts over time. It does.
Okay.
Intentionality is huge. I just want everybody to to win. I really want everybody to win. And so I'm pulling them all with me, but I also understand I can't force anybody to be there with me too. So it's kind of having that balance. Like, you're with me and I will care for you and love on you while you're here. And then if you feel like you don't want to be here with me, or we don't work out together, like, I hope the best, and maybe our paths will cross again. And I think having that sort of leadership style where people weren't afraid to leave, because sometimes you get into a group setting and you're like, well, I don't want to go because then I'm the black sheep of everything, or no one's ever going to talk to me again, or people want to feel welcomed. It's already scary going into any new situation. Most people don't like that. So to know their name when they walk in the door is takes that wall down, right? It makes them feel like they're a part of something. And then to continue to stay in touch with them adds another layer to it. And you just kind of build on that. I'm not the perfect consistent person, because I do like to meet a lot of people and I get really excited about things. So consistency is my one, I would say, weakness that I do come across. But I feel like my energy and my connection with people makes up for it. And so it could be a long time since I've seen somebody, but then it's like, hey, it's like going back to yesterday, right? So that leadership style is something I've always admired in others, when they make you feel like they know you, even because you're just like, oh my, they knew my name. Oh my, I didn't even remember their name, but they knew my name. And so it just makes people feel special. And I think that's such a huge thing that we just don't have anymore these days, is making other people feel special.
Is there a way for people to get better at that, or is that just something that is natural and you either
That was
got it or you don't?
not anything natural for me. I
Okay.
literally say their name in my brain like 3 times. And if I remember it wrong the first time, I will always remember it wrong, which is horrible, because I'm like, nope, that's not it. It's the other name. I'm a visual learner, so I imagine something when I'm remembering their name. It could be how it's spelled. A lot of times I'll say, how do you spell it? Like Kathy with a K or a C, because then I've already got a letter in my head.
Mm.
Um, is it a nickname for something? Is there a story behind your name? Um, or I know where you were in the room when I met you, and I can just solidify that. My favorite story, my banker. I had a banker, sweetest lady ever in the whole wide world, got my kids little cute banks, all the things. I did an event when I was doing photography for a chamber event, and she came through my photo booth, but she wasn't in her bank uniform and she wasn't behind the teller desk. And she was like,
Oh no.
Savannah, Savannah. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, but remind me your name. She's like, I'm your banker. And I'm like, oh, you you look like a totally different person. Your hair is down, you don't have the uniform. You're fabulous. But I had memorized her name in that scenario. So it's not a perfect system. But
Yeah.
most people too, if you just tell them, I'm so sorry, I'm spacing on your name right now. They'd rather you ask for their name than just call you buddy or pal or
It shows that
him or her.
intentionality.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've seen that with myself, and I remember you called out the whole room one time, and just literally said that, like, if you don't know somebody's name, just say it, ask them, be intentional, because it shows that you care, and then you're
Yes.
not going to forget it again.
Nope.
You won't, and that's helped me, and I've actually, because of you, gotten compliments from people in my circle saying like, "Oh, you're really good with names." And it's literally just that extra effort and that extra intentionality. But that is
It's
funny.
attention to detail, like, and that's
Yeah.
paramilitary. Attention to detail. I was trained to
Okay.
have attention to detail. It's kind of turned into a monster. My team, I swear, wants to strangle me sometimes. Where I'm like, "Well, did you get this? They're like, "No one cares about that detail." I'm like, "It is. It's an important detail. It makes or breaks you from somebody else, whether you can remember that or not. And if you can't, go back and find it." And I swear they want to just strangle me some days, but I'm
Well,
helping
that
them
was
grow.
just the perfect transition into my next concept that I want to break down with you is how are you currently working to leverage your team and in the process of delegating in order to grow to the next level?
I think so many people are afraid of delegating because you think you can do it all perfect, right? That's the control freak. I'm the only one that can, so I'm the only one that should. And that I didn't struggle as much with that fear. I struggled more with what if I get the wrong person and waste my time? Because that's the next thing. Because what if they leave me, or what if they don't do a good job and I got to start all over? That
Right,
was my
right.
worry. There's several other worries that people have growing teams. Sometimes you just have to be on the lookout for talent. I think by the time you need talent, it's too late. So if you're not just constantly looking for really talented people and making a space for them in your life, you won't get them when you need them. And that's why people hire the wrong person, because they weren't looking for them. And then
Maybe
they
they're a
were in a
little
pain
desperate.
point. Yes.
Hmm.
And they're like, oh, my sister's best friend will work. I've known her. She knows me. We'll just make it happen. No, you got to find somebody. So it started off part time. It's a part-time deal. Leverage a couple things. One of a favorite exercise is, write everything you do in a day, and then does that actually fit your job description, or are you doing something that somebody else should be doing? And real estate's really intentional. It's lead gen, lead follow-up, make appointments, go on appointments, negotiate contracts, and practice your words. That's my job description as a real estate agent. So if I'm putting together email templates, is that my job? No, it's not. If I'm putting signs in yards, is that my job? No. Putting lock boxes on doors, not my job. I can hire a runner, 10, $15 an hour to go run and put a sign on in the yard for me, because I should be making way more per hour than that to do setting appointments, calling clients, those things. So figure out your job description and then see what you're actually doing. And then that makes your new job description of who you need.
That's good. Are there any other things that you've learned from the military that have helped you to transition into building your team?
I wish I could say I could attribute it more to the military, but I was so young in the military.
Yeah.
I think I learned a lot more from my last real boss, the person I worked. So, my previous attorney, his name's Noble McIntyre. He is in Oklahoma. Love him to this day. I could call him up and have a full on conversation. He
Nice.
hired me from the military at 21 years old to be a front desk receptionist girl at this personal injury attorney. I remember looking at my husband going, I don't want to take that job. I don't know anything about law. And he goes, you just have to answer the phone. Like, quit making this more complicated. Go, just go. And they hired me on the spot at the interview. And I went from the receptionist to the general manager, like the office manager, to their top paralegal in the office for their biggest cases, because I just grew into the job. He saw something in me that I couldn't see at the time, and then gave me the guidance and support to keep growing. Because I remember one time I'm like, I think I want to go to paralegal class. Like, I think I want to go get my paralegal degree. He's like, great. When do you want to start? Do you need help with schools? You know what? I'll pay for your certification if you take your classes. Deal. I'll do that.
Wow.
And I had my GI Bill from the military, so I went to night school, got my paralegal, passed my test, and started doing their cases. Um, it was four guys originally, four male attorneys, no organization, no nothing. I walked in going, you don't have a system for the printer codes, like, just silly things. So I made all their systems. They ended up splitting into two different law firms, and I stayed with Noble and went on his team, and just I watched someone be an entrepreneur for the first time in my life. I never knew what it meant to be one, because he took risks. Everything he did was a risk. It was a calculated risk on to grow. And I just learned so much from him during that time, that when I finally branched off and started my business, I implemented a lot of those things. And then I've just been fine tuning it as I meet more people and learn. But if you're not ready to learn it, you're not going to hear it.
Yeah, it's almost one of those things when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Yes.
How important is mentorship when somebody's trying to level up?
Huge. I've always had some form of a coach. Always. I love talk. I had an agent call me yesterday. I don't even think she's still in our office. I think she went and took a different job at a different office, but it doesn't matter. What comes around goes around, right? Like I don't have a judgment one way or another. And I just pick up the phone. I save everybody's number. So when they call me, I say, hey, so and so they know I know who they are. Cause that's always awkward. You're like, should I call her? Should I not call her? And they had a question about a deal. And I was like, this is how I would do it. And they're like, okay, that's what I was thinking, but I wasn't sure. And I appreciate your help. And that's mentorship. It's just being available to answer questions, to brainstorm, to have someone push back at you, which is what
There it
Susan did
is.
originally to me. She pushed back. And it's not even pushing back, it's just like showing the mirror, just pulling the mirror out and saying, why don't you say that to yourself and not try to deflect it to me?
Wow. Yeah.
And that's, it's tough because sometimes when you do mentor people, you see it yourself too. And there's times when you're so blind, you have to go to someone and say, what the heck is going on? Like, I need someone to just pull back the curtain and show me what's happening.
Gosh, that's been a huge thing in parenting for me.
That's the hardest job ever.
Oh my gosh. There's
Talk
something
about
about
leadership.
kids. Yeah. Well, let's speak into that a little bit because I know for me, my oldest is like straight up mirror. The kid is just, he's so much like me and he challenges me more than anybody else possibly could.
Mm-hmm.
But I see him and through him I see myself. So have you been able to experience that yourself as you've grown in your career while also growing as a mom?
Being a mom is the hardest stinking thing I've ever done because there's so many times, because when you're a kid, you're like, I'm never going to do this when I have kids. And then you're doing it. And you're like, oh, that makes sense of why they did that. I remember being so resentful of my own mom for so long. And now that I'm a mom and now she's in my life more and she just giggles in the corner, I feel like half the time because she gets to be grandma. And I'm like, I remember these conversations. And it's
That's
just,
great.
but like you work all day long and then you come home and then you gotta still put everything into it. And sometimes you just don't have all the energy to have all the patience and you just kind of go off the handle. And my kids know if I'm yelling, it's probably just because I'm yelling. You know, we've really not made yelling a huge deal in our family. But I will say my daughter the other day made a mess. She knew she was going to get in trouble for it. So she covered it up. And then I found it.
Oh,
And I was like, sister, what is going on? She's like, well, I was afraid to tell you because I didn't want to get in trouble because I messed up. And I
wow.
said, okay. Well, the first lesson is mom's going to find everything. Just know I'm going to
There it
find it no
is.
matter what. My own
Yeah.
mother told me this.
Yeah.
And my mom told me, if you tell me the truth, you won't be in trouble. I always had it. That was the card. You can tell me anything as long as it's the truth and we will work through it. But if I have to figure it out, you're in trouble. That's the problem. And so I did the same thing with my daughter. I said, as long as you tell me, I can help. I can show you how we can fix this so it doesn't happen again and we can work through it. Well, I'm afraid. I don't want to fail. I don't want to be in trouble. I said, guess what? You're always going to fail. The only way you get better at anything is if you do fail. But you can fail two ways. You can fail forward or you can fail backwards. And you
There it
don't want to
is.
fail backwards. You want to fail forward. And I think that's just the messy part of life is just get up, keep going. You're going to screw it up. Because if you don't screw up, you're not going anywhere. That's the kicker. Like, yeah, I've never failed, but I've never accomplished anything.
Never done
If I don't
anything.
make
I'm the same.
yeah, if you don't make some people mad here and there, if you don't get a big smack in the face, you didn't try hard enough. And the past couple years, man, I've been getting smacked in the face. Like it's been tough growing a team, learning this industry, going through market shifts, being a parent with getting tweens, having tweens come through. You know, we're going to celebrate 16 years of marriage next month. Like you don't just get there by doing the same thing every day. You're constantly having to keep moving. And so I told her, she goes, so is that like learning from your mistakes? I was like, yeah, you learn from your mistakes. You don't do it again. Mentorships, real estate, you learn by just doing, right? There's no school about it. They teach you how to not get sued, hopefully. That's it. And so I always tell people, if you mess up in real estate, it's called tuition. You've paid your tuition. It was probably costly. It was expensive. Don't take that lesson again. and move to the next one. But you're going to pay tuition one way or another. We just didn't have a college school to go through for real estate. You're learning it on the go.
No, that's good. Yeah, we call that idiot tax over here, but I like the tuition.
Pay some
I
tuition.
like the tuition better. Yeah, no, it's good. How has it changed being a parent as your kids have gotten older? Because I've got a almost 6 and almost 3 and a 1. So what do I have to look forward to when it comes
You're in
to?
the thick of it. You're in the thick of it. I think
Yeah, oh
when your
yeah,
1 becomes 3, you really are going to be looking better. I don't know. I feel like once mine hit like the 3 and 4, they get a little more independent. They want to do their own things. They still like you, but they want to explore. They want to play with friends. They want to start doing things. Our kids, they're such good stinking kids. I love it. I love every age. I know a lot of parents like miss ages. They look back and go, "Oh, I want another baby," or "Oh, I have never felt that way." I get excited for the next year. Like this year's 5th grade and 3rd grade. Like I'm excited because my son finally feels like a big kid in 3rd grade because they kind of take off the training wheels in elementary. And my daughter's like, I'm going to middle school next year. And my heart doesn't hurt because of that. And I think it's because I'm able to be with them, present with them as much as, except during busy season. They all know mom's on her phone. Hold on. We'll circle back. Setting those boundaries. You got to set the boundaries with your family. And
yeah.
it's a two-way street. And my husband will go, it is after 5 o'clock and you're still on your computer and you said you would be done for dinner. Yes, I did. I
Wrap it
did.
up.
Okay. Or, hey, it's really crazy right now and I'm going to need more time to focus on things today. Can you take the kids and go do something with them so you're not all staring at me? Sure, not a problem. Like, you got to work through those sort of things. But I would say my kids have just gotten really awesome. They actually work for me. They help like stuff
Nice.
bags and envelopes and drop off things and say hi to their teachers. So I employ them and they do videos for me. They love being a part of the business.
Sure.
So that's really fun. And they have their own things, but they only want this much present time with you. And if you can't stop and be present, you'll just see the disappointment on them. And I've really learned that when they come to interrupt me for one thing, it's going to probably be the only time they wanted my attention that day. And I just need to stop and be present with them and then let them go. And that's a struggle.
Wow.
I do struggle
Yeah.
with that. But then they're like gone for the next 3 hours playing pretend or whatever, but they wanted one thing to show me. So we just pick our times to do that, and then everybody does their own thing. It's kind of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, that's good. I feel like one of my biggest fears is I could work from the house, but I tend to come here because I've got the team and it's really good for me to be present and available. But also there's just so many things to distract me there. And I'll come home and we'll get off this call and I like to be home around, or I'll typically shut it down around 4, but sometimes I'll pull the laptop out and my 5-year-old, demands attention. And my biggest fear is that the amount of times that he calls me out will slowly start to decrease, and I'll appreciate it because it's less of the distraction, and then I'll miss that transition where it's just gone. And then I'll turn around and not even realize it because he didn't ask for my attention for an amount of time. And so that's good. And I know I need to do a better job of that. And I think people in general can just get distracted.
Well,
How
and
would, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
you gotta set the times and the days. Like
Okay.
soccer games, I'm present for the soccer games. I'm off my phone. If I get on my
Yeah.
phone, my husband's telling me, "What are you doing on your phone?" I'm like, sorry, not an emergency right now. Can that wait an hour? It can wait an hour. And then, dinner time. If you actually sit down and have a dinner, we're terrible. I've never come from a dinner family. Like we eat standing up half the time. We're running and going. So that's never been our thing. But like Saturday mornings, like grab a coffee and sit on the patio and just enjoy the time. So if you've got those times and you don't let work impede on those, then they know to expect that's when to come to you versus. But I think it's good. I think it's good to separate work and home because your mindset changes when you walk in the house because it should.
Yeah.
That's your home. You should be in a different flow and trying to put both of those. I mean, COVID was such a trying time to try to do all that under one roof. It was a struggle. So
Yeah,
I
no
think you should
doubt.
have separation.
No, that's really good. How would you speak into specifically moms that are trying to launch, that are trying to build something for themselves? Because I agree. I mean, being a mother at the house with the kids, it can be, I mean, it is, if not the most, one of the most difficult things that a person could do. And I wouldn't even know that without watching my wife and watching her try to build something for herself while being a stay at home mom. So, how would you, kind of having gone through this process and still doing it, how would you speak into somebody that might be maybe at the earlier stages?
It's a lot of patience. I would say too, my husband would go overseas for work a lot. So like the first year, that 2017 year, he was gone 7 months that year overseas. So I've seen the solo side of being a solo parent and having a supportive spouse of some sort. It's having the grace. It's taking the breaks, because there's some days you just can't push yourself, and those are the days that you just need to stop and refill your cup, whatever way that is. Whatever makes you happy, go do it. And don't feel guilty about it. I think there's so much mom guilt out there. I can't even get on the internet anymore. I
Oh,
remember being a
man.
mom, like, don't Google it, don't get on a forum, and don't surround yourself with other moms that are not doing the same thing you're doing. So if they're all happy stay-at-home moms with no ambition to do anything more than organize and do, killer homeschool or whatever they're doing, that you're not, you're just going to feel more guilty. So you have to,
Wow.
surround yourself with the other moms that are trying to hustle as well,
Okay.
and find that subgroup, and then just take it a day at a time. Have your vision, and just keep pointing your compass that way and keep going. It's when you stop is when you lose.
Ooh, that's good. That's good because you are your circle. You are the people
Yes.
that you spend the most time with, and you don't change without putting yourself in different rooms, going places, doing things, meeting new people. That's outstanding. So, as we start to wrap up, I want to give you, I mean, you've added so much value to me personally, but also the listener. um, let's give you a spotlight real quick, because you're trying to do your thing. What value do you add as a real estate agent? What separates you? What value do you bring to somebody? As I mean, real estate is crazy right now. I mean, if I my wife and I, we're looking for a house, but
Hmm.
we don't have the finances yet, right? So we're not quite there. We're getting our ducks in a row. But maybe
That's a
for somebody,
that's a lot of people. Like, ever got priced out of this market recently.
it's so crazy. Like I don't even know. I mean, it seems hopeless sometimes. Maybe coach me up. Not just the general person, but and give me some
Well,
tips on what I should be
what
looking at.
what creates hopelessness? Like, what roots hopelessness?
Not being able to see change in sight,
Not
right?
having a plan.
Not having a plan. There it is. Okay.
Like, you don't have, because you don't know how you're going to get there, because you need an
Yeah.
expert of some sort to walk you through it. I think that's what stems hopelessness. Because you're not able to do something, you're stuck, right? My
There it is.
biggest conversation I have with my clients is, I will always provide you a choice. You may not like the choices, but you will have at least two, because it's not my life it's your life, right? Like, we're helping you determine what your next step is. And so if you don't have a choice, you feel trapped. And when you feel trapped, do you
You
feel
feel
confident?
you feel
You don't feel
hopeless.
confident. You feel hopeless and not confident. So, my biggest thing with my clients is, I always bring them choices. And in order for me to do that, I need to know what I'm doing, right? Like, I got to know the options. I got to be creative. I have to be strategic. And I have to create those win win situations, so that when something does come up, I can get everyone on board. Because they say 27 different parties are involved from start to finish in a real estate transaction, and I'm the circus leader of the 27
Oh,
parties.
wow. Okay.
So that's my role. I can't be a bulldog. I can't go attack somebody, because guess what? In 2 more weeks, we're going to need them to work for us now. And they're not going to want to, because we disrespected them. I'll
Hmm.
never do that to somebody. even if I want to, even if you get somebody that's just not really suited for their job, you have to be professional and you have to move forward, right? Like professionality is huge. I think a lot of other agents miss that because the market has been so great lately. All you had to do was throw a sign in the yard and smile and sign some documents. It's not that way anymore.
Not that
So
way.
strategy and choices, and then having the grace with my clients to let them choose and actually take ownership of their choice, even if I don't believe in it. If it what's good for them and their family, then I need to let them be in that space. It's like being a parent sometimes where you like, here are all the options and this one's a way better one for you, but you can only see this far. I'll let you go there. And I'm not going to say I told you so later, but we will meet again to assess this problem. And that's part of the game, but it's not my life. I don't have to live in that
Yeah.
house. I don't have to, that's not my spouse I have to keep happy. My kids in the school they want to stay in. There's so many things. So I think the first thing is creating a plan, which starts with the conversation. And then from there, there's so many variables of which way it can go. You can't tell the end of a story of a real estate deal. But I will say, when you have choices, you feel like everything went perfectly. Because that's what my clients are like. It was meant to be. It came out the way we wanted. And it was because they got to pick the path the whole way through the process.
Oh, that's good. No, you're not the hero, but you're the guide
I'm
that
the guide.
gets, yeah,
They're the hero.
they're the hero, and you're getting
It's
them
their
to where they,
castle.
yeah,
Yes.
no doubt. No, that's awesome. There's a lot of similarities to a franchise consultant and a realtor. So as I get
Yes.
going on this path, I'm sure I'll have a lot of questions for you to, because there are so many similarities. As we
There's
wrap it
so many
up,
unknowns. There's so
there's
many
so many
unknowns to what you
unknowns.
do. And because there's so many unknowns, people get taken advantage of.
Oh,
Because someone says, I have the quick, shiny way to make this work. And they take
ooh,
advantage of that person. And then now you're the second end user to it, trying to fix the wrongs. Like, I mean, I've dealt with so many sellers that have tried to sell with one agent who said, yep, we can list it for that price and it will go quickly. And they didn't do their research or their comps. They just wanted the deal. And then it never sold. And now I have to come back around and go, okay, actually, we have to do this to the price and this extra this and all these extra things because you only get one shot to make a good first impression. And now we have to try to undo that.
oh,
And
wow.
it's a tough conversation. And same thing with franchising. Like you may have come across people who bought into a business, maybe lost a lot of their savings, and now they're trying to start over and they already got a grudge against you because they think you're like the other person.
Yep. Yeah, and I think specifically to franchising, that's another conversation. But yeah, there's a lot of people that have been burnt, that have been sold a pipe dream, sold a thing that thing did not actually exist, or it did not operate as it was advertised. So
Yep.
no, that's true. For you personally, and I'll end you with this. This will be my last question.
Okay.
Where are you growing now? What's next? What are you building to?
I think my next thing is wealth, building wealth, because I have the best tool to do it. I have the insider secrets to do it, and I want to build wealth. And I don't want to just build it for me. I want to build it for my clients as well. The networking group is a huge resource because those people in the room, we have some amazing people that not only help you ensure the wealth, but save the wealth and protect it from taxes. And we've got a great group. So that's kind of my next phase is how do we create maybe an investor side or just generational wealth, get people out of the day-to-day rut. Like I wanted to break the mold with what my family was doing. I didn't want to just go get a job and hopefully retire in 65 and be healthy enough to do what I want to do on my social security check. Like I don't want that. I don't want that for my kids either. So it's like, how do I help my clients build their wealth through whether it's real estate or just people I connect them with? Because I'm not going to have the answer for everybody. Franchising a business, people want to buy businesses all the time. Who do they go talk to? that's kind of the next phase. So we're kind of tying up the ends of the growth expansion phase. I have the people I need. Now we just need to get it going. We've been working on systems and processes and personalities and growth. Then it's like, okay, now that's going. How do we now turn this into a wealth conversation and build that with our clients? So we've got some things in the works. We're really excited about it. And it's all who you know.
Boom. That is such a beautiful transition from the beginning of where you started and now how you've grown to where you have the team. That's it. I'm just so thankful that you came on and shared your story. And I'm so thankful that I get to kick it with you every week and network in the same circles and know the same people. You will always be my president. I don't care what anybody says. You'll always be my president.
Well, I
I
appreciate your
appreciate you.
support
Yeah,
and coming in and trusting me too. And I remember I told you, I said, you need to be here.
you
I don't
did
care. Get
for a
here.
long
You need to
time.
be here.
For a
You need to
long
be. And
time.
now you're here. And who in that room have you met that has changed your perspective or changed something?
Oh
There's just
gosh.
one person that tweaks it and it opens your mind to a whole new perspective. And I think it's awesome what you're doing. I'm excited for you. It totally fits. It's one of those things you're like, duh, why didn't you do this 5 years ago? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I think I had that moment that you had where it was, instead of sell the pictures, how about I sell the house? It's like, okay, why, instead of me personally focusing on selling the bug spray or the bug treatments and selling the paint or the wash, how about I sell the business, which is where I'm so much more structured to do it. And if it wasn't for people in that room and the struggle of finding my space in the room, and but also realizing that there's other rooms out there, that I don't need to just focus on those people and try to cater, because I struggled with that for a long time, catering to the people in the room and trying to build my identity around the ones in there and worrying about being judged or what are they going to think or do I fit. It's like, no, I am me, and there's value in this room, but sometimes you grow beyond the room too.
Sure.
And yeah, there's just a lot there, and I have you to thank for a lot of my growth in that area, and so I appreciate you. Well, with that, the last thing I always end it with: stay humble, stay hungry, stay streetwise.
Love
Peace.
it.
All right, everybody, that's a wrap. Thank you for making it to the end. Hey, if you like this episode, if it added value in any way to your life, do me a favor, give it a like, share it with a friend, give me a review, leave a comment, whether that's a rocket emoji, thumbs up, a fire, 100 emoji, leave me something. It's the only way to get this out there to other people, and I appreciate you so much for listening. As always, stay humble, stay hungry, stay streetwise. Peace.